Fame was supposed to fix everything, but for Adam Lambert, it opened doors he never expected and wounds he never saw coming. From the moment he sang Bohemian Rhapsody in that audition room, his life became a whirlwind of applause, judgment, controversy, and unimaginable pressure. What followed after the cameras stopped rolling was far more complicated than any performance on stage. Today, Adam stands as a global icon, but the path that brought him here is lined with battles, reinvention, heartbreak, and quiet victories the world rarely talks about. When Adam Lambert stepped onto the American Idol stage in 2009, he didn't just sing, he detonated expectations. His a cappella rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody stunned the judges, and within minutes, a theater kid from San Diego became a national obsession. But while viewers celebrated his sudden rise, Adam had no time to prepare for the tidal wave that fame was about to unleash on him. He had barely finished his final performances in Wicked when Idol producers told him he needed to quit the show to compete. And within months, he went from a working stage actor to a household name. For someone who had once described himself as a loner in middle school, the sudden attention was overwhelming. What the audience didn't know was that Adam's personal life was already under scrutiny long before the finale. Rumors about his sexuality escalated week after week, overshadowing his vocals and performances. The pressure became so intense that Adam later admitted he had to question whether publicity was worth it, whether fame was something he truly wanted or something he had been tricked into chasing. When Chris Allen's name was announced as the winner, Adam's fans were crushed. Headlines accused the country of homophobia. Op-eds declared that his loss proved the world still wasn't ready for someone like him. But Adam, exhausted and shaken, understood something deeper. He had already won the thing that mattered most. Even before finale night, record executives had assured him they wanted him. No matter the vote, he would be signed, recorded, and launched into a spotlight bigger than Idol itself. Yet, the truth was harsher than it looked. The moment Adam left the Idol stage, he was no longer just a contestant. He was a target. Every move he made, every outfit he wore, every hint of identity he embraced became a public debate. He was now expected to represent an entire community, carry an entire legacy, and defend every inch of his authenticity while the world dissected it. What should have been the happiest moment of his life quickly became one of the most terrifying. After the whirlwind of American Idol, Adam Lambert entered the studio with a mission to prove he wasn't a manufactured TV singer, but a real artist with vision, edge, and something to say. By late 2009, he released For Your Entertainment, a bold debut that fused glam, rock, pop, and theatricality into a sound the American mainstream wasn't prepared for. The album debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, outselling Chris Allen's release and earning Adam his first Grammy nomination for What I Want for Me. From the outside, this looked like a triumphant beginning. But behind the scenes, Adam was fighting a war he never expected. Public pressure surrounding his sexuality intensified immediately. Retailers demanded an alternate, less gay album cover because the original image made them uncomfortable. His label feared he was too much, too theatrical, too bold, too visible for an industry still terrified of queer authenticity. The more Adam tried to embrace himself, the more he was told to tone it down. And then came the night that would follow him for years, the 2009 American Music Awards. Adam delivered a provocative performance meant to celebrate freedom and artistic expression. Instead, it unleashed backlash so severe that it nearly derailed his career. Conservative groups complained. Networks censored the West Coast broadcast, and ABC canceled multiple upcoming appearances. Adam later admitted that he didn't expect the double standard to be so brutal. Straight artists had done far more outrageous things on stage without consequence. But when he kissed a male musician, held a dancer on a leash, and pushed boundaries, he was punished in a way that revealed the homophobia still lurking in the industry. Maybe it was too far, he said years later. But to many, he had simply done what countless performers before him had been praised for. In the months that followed, Adam was forced to fight for his place in the industry. Not because his music wasn't good, but because his identity terrified the gatekeepers. He wanted to be known for his voice, his artistry, his vision. Instead, every interview, every headline, every debate focused on who he was rather than what he could do. This wasn't the glamorous beginning he had envisioned. It was a battle for survival before his career had even truly begun. By 2012, Adam Lambert faced a crossroads that most new artists never have to confront so early in their careers. The backlash from the AMA controversy had cooled, but its shadow still lingered over him, shaping how labels and executives viewed his marketability. Instead of retreating, Adam doubled down on his artistry and released Trespassing, a daring, unapologetically personal record that showcased his growth and the vulnerability behind the glam. When it debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, Adam made history as the first openly gay male artist to top the chart. It was a landmark moment, one that symbolized pride, defiance, and resilience. But even with this victory, the industry still wasn't ready to give him the freedom he deserved. Behind the scenes, arguments with RCA intensified. Executives wanted his third album to be a collection of 1980s covers. Safe, nostalgic, and risk-free. Adam refused. He hadn't spent his life fighting for authenticity just to become a polished tribute act for someone else's comfort. The negotiations collapsed, and in 2013, he walked away. The split was mutual on paper, but emotionally, it was another reminder of how often he had to defend his right to be himself. When he signed with Warner Brothers in 2015, Adam made a decision that would redefine his career. Working with Max Martin and Shellback, he created The Original High, a record far more subdued than his earlier work. Gone were the extreme glam aesthetics. Instead, he explored moodier sounds and emotional honesty. Critics praised the shift, calling the album musically mature and even suggesting that simplicity had become his new superpower. Adam wasn't abandoning who he was. He was growing beyond what people expected. Yet, despite the acclaim, Adam quietly admitted that he was running on emotional fumes. Years of scrutiny, pressure, and controversy had taken a toll on his mental health. He felt anxious, drained, and unsure of what success even meant anymore. By the time he wrapped his tour for The Original High, he knew he needed something bigger than a hit album or a chart position. He needed to rediscover his joy in music and to remember why he ever stepped on stage in the first place. If Adam's solo career was a fight for autonomy, his journey with Queen became a test of identity, endurance, and emotional strength. The partnership began quietly in 2011 when Brian May and Roger Taylor invited him to perform with them at the MTV Europe Music Awards. The world was stunned. This wasn't a tribute act. Adam's voice soared with a power that felt both familiar and new, echoing Freddie Mercury's spirit without ever attempting to replace him. It was enough to plant a seed that would change the course of his life. By 2012, Adam and Queen were performing full-scale shows. By 2014, they launched their first global stadium tour as Queen plus Adam Lambert, breathing new life into a band many believed could never be whole again. Concert after concert sold out. Critics praised Adam's jaw-dropping range and his ability to revive songs that once belonged to one of rock's greatest legends. But behind that praise was a responsibility that few performers could bear. Adam had to stand in the space Freddie Mercury once occupied. An impossible task for anyone, let alone a man whose every move was still judged through the lens of his sexuality, appearance, and public past. He admitted openly that he never wanted to imitate Freddie, that doing so would be tacky and disrespectful. Instead, his mission was to honor the music without becoming a shadow of the man who helped create it. And while audiences embraced him, Adam felt the pressure every night. Millions comparing him to a legend. Millions wondering if he was worthy. The tours grew larger as the years passed. North America, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Asia. Stadium after stadium proved that Adam could carry Queen's legacy with humility and fire. But the emotional strain was real. The weight of expectations, the endless travel, the fear of disappointing a fan base fiercely protective of Freddie. It all carved deep lines into Adam's sense of self. Yet he stayed, not for fame, but because he felt the music deserved to live. Freddie's songs deserved to breathe. And Adam believed he was meant to help that happen. Still, there was one truth he couldn't ignore. While Queen gave him a stage, he still needed to rediscover his own voice. While the world saw Adam Lambert conquering stadiums with Queen, privately, he was drifting further away from the parts of himself he had once fought so hard to protect. Between tours, he attempted to return to his solo career. But every time he walked into a studio, he felt disconnected from the artist he had been before fame. The glamour, the controversy, the expectations, everything had blurred into a version of himself he barely recognized. By the late 2000s, Adam quietly stepped back, not because he lacked inspiration, but because he needed to breathe again. That breath came with Velvet. Released in 2020 after nearly 5 years of soul-searching, it was the first project he built outside the machinery of a major label. Released through the indie imprint empire, free from commercial pressure, Adam created an album that was nostalgic, groovy, queer, and deeply personal. Critics hailed it as his most accomplished work, a raw portrait of a man unafraid